How would you solve this question? 2 over 2 arrow minus 1 minus 5 over 3 equal to 1 over arrow plus 2. This is a fractional equation. This is the type of question you will see in JAM, WAEC, IGCSE exam. So if you are preparing for such exams, please stick around and see how we will solve this question. Now, solution. Okay, so we have just rewrite the question again. Now, there are two ways we can solve it. In fact, there are multiple ways we can solve this question. We are going to see how short or how best we can solve it without taking much time. And that is what you need to do in an exam situation. So in this case, just simplify this part first. Whatever you get from here, use it to cross multiply with this fraction. So to simplify this part, we are going to look for the LCM of this term and this term. This term, the LCM of these two terms is just 3 and this. So the LCM is 3 into 2 arrow minus 1. That is the LCM. And as we normally do fraction, we are going to divide this denominator with the LCM multiplied by this. So like I said, this going to this, 2 arrow minus 1 will cancel this, only 3 will remain. So 3 times 2 will be 6 minus this going to this, 3 will cancel 3, 2 arrow minus 1 will remain, times 5, which is 5 times 2 arrow minus 1. You get it? All equal to 1 over arrow plus 2. We have not touched this part of the question. Now, let's go further. If we do that, we'll have 6 minus 5 times 2 arrow is minus 10 arrow. Then minus 5 times minus 1 is plus 5 over, we have 3 into 2 arrow minus 1, all equal to 1 over arrow plus 2. Now at this stage, we can now cross multiply. Cross multiply means this and this. So to cross multiply, we simply use it to times this, so we can bracket it out. 6 minus 10 arrow plus 5, or bracket times this, times arrow plus 2, or bracket, is equal to this here times this, which is 3 into 2 arrow minus 1, times this one. It will remain the same thing, so we just leave it like this. So what we do next is to simplify further. This one, we use this to multiply this. How do we go? First of all, use 6 to multiply these two terms, use minus 10 to multiply these two terms, and use 5 to multiply these two terms. Let's see what we are going to get. 6 go into arrow will be 6 arrow. Then 6 go into 2 is 12 plus 12. Continue, we have minus 10. Minus 10 arrow go into arrow will be minus 10 arrow squared. Then minus 10 arrow goes into 2 or multiply 2 will be minus 20 arrow. Notice minus 10 arrow times 2 is minus 20 arrow. Now we have used minus 10. I are using 5 now. Plus 5 go into arrow is plus 5 arrow. Then plus 5 times 2 is plus 10, all equal to, now let's expand it a little, all equal to, let's expand this place, 3 times 2 arrow will be 6 arrow, then 3 times minus 1 is minus 3. I will get it up to this level. Now going further, we are going to collect like terms. So we collect all the terms in arrow first. We can start with arrow square, anyone, doesn't matter. Let's pick all the arrows, arrow, 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 arrow. So let's pick all. We now have 6 arrow, then minus 20 arrow, which is this, then plus 5 arrow, which is this, then this one will come here, becomes minus 6 arrow, We have picked all the arrow. Now let's go to arrow square. Minus 10 arrow square. This is only the 10 with square. After that, we now pick the constant. The constant are 12 plus 12. Now have plus 12. Or we can actually take this to the other side of the equation. So let's take let's take the constant to the other side of the equation for clarity. If we do that, here will be equal to at the other side we have minus 3 already waiting here. Minus 3 is here. Now plus 12 will cross to turn to minus 12, and 10 will also cross to turn to minus 10. I think that is all. What we did, we collect terms in arrow square, then we cross the equality sign and collected the constant. In the constant, minus 3 is already here. We brought plus 12 as it crosses, it changes to minus 12, and plus 10 changes to minus 10. I think we understand it to this level. The next thing we do is to simplify here further. You already know that plus 6 arrow minus 6 arrow will cancel out, I think. So here we now have 20 minus 20 arrow plus 5 arrow. Of course, you know this will give us minus 15 arrows. Minus 15 arrow. Then here we have minus 10 arrow squared. Minus 10 arrow squared equal to, if you simplify this, minus 3 minus 12 is minus 15. Minus 15 minus 10 is equal to minus 20, minus 25. Let me write it clearly. Minus 25. Now, if you notice, we have all the terms here, they are all multiples of 5. So can you use 5 to divide it, to reduce it? If I even change it to positive number, because we have negative here, we can divide everything by minus 5. Do you agree? If you do that, divide everything by minus 5 over minus 5 over minus 5 over minus 5. So if you divide here by minus 5, here we have 3 arrow. If you divide here by minus 5, we have plus 2 arrow squared. If you divide here by minus 5, we have 5. Now if you notice, this is a quadratic equation. So we can write it so that 2 arrow squared comes first. So if we do that, we have 2 arrow squared plus 3 arrow minus 5 equal to 0. So it has become a proper quadratic equation. Now what we need to do is just to resolve this and we'll get our answer for this equation. Now we can use two methods. We can use we can use several methods. We can use the factorization method or the general formula method. Here, let's try to use the factorization method. If we do that, these 2 and minus 5 together. If we have 2 times minus 5, it will be minus 10. So we're going to look for two terms that when we multiply them, it gives us minus 10. And when we add them, it gives us plus 3. What two numbers can we multiply that will give us minus 10? Of course, you know that we have 2 times 5 will give us 10. We also have minus 2 times plus 5 will give us 10. And we also have plus 2 times minus 5. Okay, this will give us a positive 10. So this one is not out of it. Minus 2 times plus 5 will give us minus 10. And plus 2 times minus 5 will give us minus 10. But which of these two, when we add together, it gives plus 3. If we add this, if we say minus 2 plus 5, it will give us 3. So we are going to use minus 2 plus 5 as the factor here. So we're going to replace this by minus 2 and plus 5. If we do that, we now have 2 arrow squared minus 2 arrow plus 5 arrow minus 5 is equal to 0. Of course, if you know how to solve quadratic equation, that's what we just did here. We said that we look for two numbers that when we multiply them, it gives us minus 10. We add them, it gives us plus 3 arrow. And those numbers are minus 2 arrow and plus 5 arrow. If you add the two together, you have plus 3 arrow. If you times them, you have minus 10. So the next thing we do is to factorize. What is common between these two terms? We have 2 arrow being common. So if you pick 2 arrow out and you factorize it, 2 arrow goes into 2 arrow square. It will give you arrow minus 2 arrow goes into 2 arrow is 1. Here will be plus. What is common between here and here is 5. So you pick out 5. 5 goes into 5 arrow is arrow. And 5 goes into minus 5 is minus 1. Remember that. Don't just say 1. Minus 1 because minus is stronger than plus. All equal to 0. So from here, we can just pick one of these brackets. So we said it's either arrow minus 1 is equal to 0 here, which implies that arrow is equal to positive 1, which is one of the solutions, or we can say 2 arrow plus 5 equal to 0, or 2 arrow plus 5 is equal to 0. If you solve this, you now have 2 arrows equal to minus 5, whereas arrows equal to minus 5 over 2. So therefore, the solution to this question we'll be solving is that arrow is equal to 1. Can just bracket it, either arrow equal to 1 or arrow is equal to minus 5 over 2. So this is the solution to this question that we have been solving. So this is one of the methods. The other method we would have used is to look for the LCM of these three denominators. Then use the LCM to multiply each term. In fact, that will be longer than this method. So you can try that, solve that out, and let us see how you did it in the comment section. But because of time, we are going to stop here. I hope you understand this very well. You can watch it again. And please remember to subscribe to our channel if you have not done so, because we are going to give you more WAEC NECO JAM questions like this. Keep practicing and you become a pro. Please subscribe, click on the notification bell so that you can always have videos like this whenever we release them. Bye-bye.